A bit scrawnier than the previous sacrifice from last season. Perhaps it will still taste good. Ah, greetings. You are awake. That is good. Now we can begin to prepare you for the masters. What do you mean? Where are you? Aren't you the sacrifice from the village, left here to appease the masters? You are not from the village near the base of the mountain. Are you some sort of a prisoner of war or a captured slave by chance? Ooh, the masters will not be pleased about that. You see, they have an agreement with the village that once a season, a sacrifice will be sent to them. And in return for that sacrifice, the masters will willingly give up their right to hunt wherever they please. You see, my masters who live here are incredibly powerful ancient creatures, full of much wisdom, much magic, and occasionally much rage, especially when it comes to hunger. So they used to feed where they wanted, and inevitably that meant the village near the base of the mountain. But then that village kept sending heroes up here trying to harm the masters. At first it was nice to have a little snack here and there, but it did get rather annoying. So they made an agreement with the village. One sacrifice each season, that is all that they require, and they leave the villagers and their livestock alone. It's actually quite a nice agreement for the village. Because you see, if my masters wanted to, they could simply annihilate all of the people there, and their homes and their precious livestock. This sacrifice agreement is an act of mercy from my masters. But they do require that it is actually someone from the village. It is not supposed to be a prisoner per se, because that is not really a sacrifice for them. Just for you. And you are not even aware of this. Yes, I don't recognize you. You look to be roughly my age. I would have known you from the village before I came up here as the servant of the masters. That is not going to please them. Well, it is not your fault, of course. I'm sure that you will still taste very, very good. Well, except... Were you ritually cleansed before you were sent up here? Ugh, that village is getting quite lax in their part of the agreement. Oh, not cleansed at all. Well, we will have to see to that, all right. I cannot do a proper sacrifice for my masters if you come into it carrying all of this, well, human stench, you see. It is not a stench to you, but my masters have very, very, very good sense of smell. They do not wish to have their meal so tainted. It is all right. It is a simple matter to cleanse you of all of this, and we will have you smelling divine. I am just going to use a simple cleansing tool. We will cleanse you with smoke. Fire, of course, is the most powerful, the most free energy, the most versatile of the elements. It can be used to harm, but it also gives life. Fire keeps us warm when it is cold. It lights the way in the dark. It cooks our food. Of course, it can also harm, but today we will simply use it to cleanse. Just going to pass this smoke around you here. It's a very nice cleansing scent, isn't it? Yes. A very powerful herb that I grow here myself. One of my many abilities that make me the perfect servant for the masters. It is an honor, truly. Because not only am I their servant, but I also get to be their pupil, learning their ways, the ways of fire and power. It is intoxicating, to say the least. Well, you will get to experience their power. If only for a moment. There. Hopefully that will help to rid you of this village scent. Good, good. So they really sent you up here without any knowledge of what was going to happen. Humans can be such monsters. They say that creatures like the masters are the monsters. They are simply following the way that nature intended. Humans are the one that turn on each other. Selfishness, fear of the unknown. The same coldness in their hearts that made them abandon a very young girl in the Forbidden Woods by herself because she possessed some sort of power they did not understand. It's the same coldness in their hearts that sent you up here to die without even knowing. Do not be sad for me. The villagers abandoning me, banishing me, was the best thing that ever happened to me. Otherwise, I would not get to serve the masters. In fact, in the long run, it was a good thing for the village, too. I would not deem myself powerful enough to convince the masters of anything, but I was the one who brokered peace in our current agreement with the village. There. I think that should do it. Excellent, excellent. We will put that out for now. But I think that you are properly cleansed. There is still some preparation we must do, but at least we did what the villagers were supposed to do before they sent you up here. Rude, increasing my work. That is all right. Now I'm going to cleanse your face before we go on. This is not a cleansing with fire. It is a cleansing with a beautiful tincture here. It is, mostly it is blood. Watered down, though, with moon water. It is quite lovely. It will help your skin really sing and be a very nice texture for the masters. You see, they have learned over their centuries of life what sort of textures and things that they like to eat more than others. Of course, they will make do with whatever, but as their humble servant, I am happy to oblige them with their favorites. Alright, hold still now, please. There we are. Good, good, good. You know, this whole sacrifice thing, it is not nearly enough food to actually satisfy the masters. They are incredibly powerful and incredibly ravenous. A hungry dragon is not a very nice dragon. So it's not like this sacrifice is the only thing that they require to eat. It just means that they agree not to hunt within the boundaries of the village and their farms. Quite considerate of them, really. They could easily destroy the entire village if they wanted. And they would not have to worry about treaties like this. There. Good, good. I think that is looking much better. Now, time for the fire crystals. These are two very powerful crystals, created in the heart of a volcano herself. This will help to align the fire in your heart with the fire of the masters. It is a complex concept, I suppose. You have not studied the way of the masters. The magic of fire you might not fully understand. Do not worry your little head about it. It will not be your head for much longer. All right. Now, if you would please, focus on these crystals as I bring them closer to you. Just focus your attention on these little crystals. Good, good, good. Just going to bring them around your aura here. Just passing them over and down and up. Just making sure that they have aligned your inner fire as is required by the masters. Now, of course, this is not required for them to just eat you, but it is part of the ritual, and it is something that they quite enjoy. You have a very powerful inner fire, don't you? I am almost sad to see it consumed by the masters. It is a great honor, of course, but still, Generally, the sacrifices that are sent to us do not have quite so much fire in their soul. One like you. You might be like me. You might be able to understand the ways of fire if properly instructed. I would like to try something with you. Just a moment. You see this flame here? It is, of course, just a lovely little candle in a lovely little candle holder here, but this flame is a part of the eternal flame. You see, back centuries, thousands of years ago, when the dragons first gave fire to the humans worshipped the masters and kept that fire going. All other flames that they used came from that one eternal fire. Of course, over the years they learned to create fire themselves using different things of the earth, but that eternal fire still burns. Its location is hidden, so that it is not sought out by people who do not deserve it, or people who might wish the servants of fire harm. But to those of us who know the ways of fire, this particular flame is incredibly sacred. So, I want you to focus on this flame. Do not look away from it. This particular flame burns brighter and hotter than most typical candles or flames of this size. It burns with an inner fire. Some people might call it spirit. Some call it courage. Some call it drive. Whatever you call it, it is power. And the power that comes from within. Not everyone can master it. Now, as you gaze into this flame, tell me, do you hear anything? Good. That is very good. Can you make out what they are saying? That is all right. That simply means that you have not been trained in the ways of fire yet, but you hear it, the spirit of the fire. Interesting. I don't want to make you any promises, but seeing as your inner fire is one that is aligned with the eternal flame, perhaps the masters might have a different intention for you than being a sacrifice today. Especially since you are not from the village at all. That is cheating, if you ask me. Perhaps we should continue as scheduled. But I will discuss your fire with the masters. Is learning the ways of the fire something that might interest you? Not just as a way to spare your life. If it does not turn out that you have the ways of fire, or if you do not devote yourself to the study of it, well, the masters can always just eat you another day. But if it is something that you are truly curious of, that you truly wish to learn, as I have, perhaps we could come to some sort of agreement. I've always wanted an apprentice. There is no one else in the village with the vision that you and I have. Well, as I said, we should continue for now, as though you will be sacrificed, so as not to make the masters unhappy or keep them waiting, alright? It would be better for you if they were in a very good mood when we ask them about you. Now, we have cleansed your face and made sure that you smell delectable. Now, this is going to sound a bit strange, but would you mind if I give you a bit of a trim? You see, one of the masters in particular, they don't particularly like eating human hair. At least not quite as much as what you have. It gives them indigestion. And a dragon with stomach pain is not a dragon that you want to be near. Let us just put it that way. So I was going to trim the hair of whoever came up, but I think that would be very good. In fact, as an acolyte of the eternal flame, you would have to have your hair deeply cut so that when you are learning to master fire, it does not burn. The length of my hair symbolizes how long I have been studying the ways of the flame. But if you would permit me, I'm going to just give your hair a quick trim. Alright? Alright, yeah. I'm not going to take it all off, alright? Just give it a bit of a trim here. There we go. Just take off a little bit there so that the masters do not any sort of unpleasant reaction. There we are. There we are. Good, good, good. Over here a bit as well. There. No, I do not need to keep my hair short. I am not going to be eaten. I am a servant and a pupil. Someday I might be a master of the flame myself. Not in the same way as the masters, of course. They are something entirely different that I could never achieve, but maybe someday I will be a master in my own right. Maybe someday you will be too. Well, let us not get ahead of ourselves. I would not want to get attached to you only to see you eaten. Alright. I think that will be good. Just enough so that my master does not have an upset stomach if they choose to eat you. Well, I think you are looking like a divine sacrifice for the masters. But something tells me you will not have to be sacrificed today. That flame in your soul, that power and hunger in your eyes, I recognize it. And I think the masters will, too. Well, why don't you wait here? There is one more step to your ritual. And this one we can do either way. And then I will go and speak to the masters on your behalf. But before that, one final task. This is a very, very special potion. It will make it so that the sacrifice does not harm you. And it will make you taste very, very good. There's something special that I concocted very long ago when I was a child and still afraid that the masters might wake up one day and decide that instead of taking pity on the little girl abandoned in the woods, that they might decide that I looked delicious. Of course, that never came to be. I have received more kindness under the wings of a dragon than I have from any human in my life. Perhaps you will be different. We will see. But first, let me get you a glass of this. There we are. To your good health. There. That should do it, I think. Now, you take this cup and drink deeply. Either way, this will either serve to make your sacrifice much less painful, or it will serve to help light that fire inside you, to make it burn even more brightly. Personally, I am hoping for the latter. Then you can also be with us as we wreak havoc on the village below, to teach them a lesson for breaking the terms of our agreement. That will be quite a sight to see, I assure you. But first, sit and drink deeply. Drink slowly, and see if that awakens anything inside of you. And as you do that, I will go and speak to the masters on your behalf. Just in case you have any ideas of running, I will have you know that the masters are incredibly fast, and they have incredibly wonderful senses when it comes to hunting. There is nowhere that you could possibly go where they would not find you. They do not particularly like having to chase down their food, especially your ritual sacrifice. So I would stay here if I were you. But something tells me you do not need to worry about being a sacrifice today. We will see what the will of the masters is. But I have high hopes. You wait here, and I will return with news from the masters.